Welcome. I'm so excited that you're here today. This is the Coffee Break Show. Today, I have started the fifth season, and today's guest is one of my favorite people in marketing industry because she's my marketing consultant. Laurel Portie is going to be with us, and we will be right back because, we got to hear the music. You're on the Success Secrets for Business, Family, and Life channel. This is the Coffee Break Show. It's brought to you by the Metadine Digital Network. And today we are going to be talking about everything, and I mean everything marketing. And I want to welcome my marketing consultant onto the show today. Laurel, thanks for being with us today. I'm so excited you're here.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I'm ready to get into this awesome marketing conversation because there's been a lot of misleading information out there, especially in the online marketing space.
Yes. And you know what's interesting? I know, Laurel, that you did not start in marketing this way. You started on television, right? You were on TV. Tell us about that for a second.
Yeah, absolutely. So back in 2002, which I just dated myself, back in 2002, I got my very first job in television while I was still in college. And so I had like the hardest job in television, and I had the hardest job in television for a really long time, which was getting people to stay up and watch the 11 o'clock news. Now we're talking 11 p.m. news. And so I learned early on, starting back in 2002, before social media was a thing, before Facebook ads, before everything, I learned very early on that I had to perfect two things and two things only: getting people's attention and keeping people's attention. And so everything that I have taught all of my students, everything that I'm working with you guys on, has stemmed from my television marketing background.
Yeah, and I want to let you know you are so wicked good. And I want to talk about what everybody's talking about right now. I want to just dive right in. There is something about having a consultant in your corner when you need them, so that when stuff happens, you're like, Laurel, what do I do? Laurel, what do I do? And this one thing happened recently, last year, and it was the iOS 14.5 implementation from Apple that came in and said, okay, well, we're going to see and protect you and have you opt in. And so everybody thought Facebook's gone, Facebook's out, Facebook is done, it's going to die, etc. And I got to admit, I was one of those people until I started talking with Laurel, because the foundations that she teaches her clients and her students and does are they are bulletproof, and they're so bulletproof. And I proved to myself that absolutely you can do the methods that she teaches. And we have we've continued with all kinds of marketing. And I want to talk about the first part of the Facebook marketing. I know we do the YouTube marketing, everything about what you do and what you teach right now. Let's start the beginning, how you got into this. Let's talk about the little blip of the iOS thing, and let's talk about the irrational fears people have about Facebook marketing right now as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, as we just talked about, I have a television background. And so I am big into video only because,
Mhm.
that is a vehicle that has helped so many businesses,
Yeah.
make millions and billions of dollars and build these massive audiences. And so it was really easy to make the transition to social media. So back in 2008, back when like Facebook started,
Yeah.
traction, and they started letting everyone join, because remember, you used to have an edu address to actually join Facebook. And so Facebook started to, overtake what was happening on MySpace. And I was
Yeah.
producing over at CBS, and my manager actually came to me and said, Laurel, I see that you're playing on this Facebook thing every single day. And it was during my lunch hour. I was in a band in Dallas, Texas, and I would always promote my band shows using Facebook and just using any marketing skills I had learned in television. And he was like, we're looking for someone to help us take what we're doing on television and bring it to social media. And so back in 2008, that's where all of the, I was able to take my skills that I was learning in marketing and just kind of translate social media and kind of learn how to keep people's attention there, right? Because even
Yeah.
with social media, there's so many other distractions. Because think about this. When social media started coming onto the scene, things shifted even in the television world, because our biggest competitor was no longer the television station down the street. It
That's
was
right.
becoming that cell phone that people were using as they were watching TV. They were, not engaged. And so, how
Mhm.
could we utilize this new vehicle that so many people were glued to and kind of recreate the same magic that we do using television? And so, I just came up with this strategy that it was like its own television station. Like, think of your social media as your own TV station, right? You have
Yeah,
to, entertain, you have to make the pitch, right? Commercials, you have to educate. And so if you kind of look at it, the educate is kind of like the news broadcast, right? That's how
that's
people
right.
learn things. The entertainment is kind of like your sitcoms. Your make the pitches like the commercials, right? So you never want to have a television station that just has that one thing. You need all of them, because if you're not making the pitch, you're not making money. Doesn't that sound familiar?
Right.
You're not
Yes.
making the pitch when you're on social media and you're a business owner, you're not making money. And so I literally just applied all of the marketing stuff that I was learning in television. Now, I did not want, I had no vision to become an entrepreneur. As a matter of fact, if you would have asked me 10 years ago where I would be right now, I just turned 40, where I would be, I would tell you that I was working at ABC7 in Los Angeles. That was my ultimate goal. But then I met the woman who would become my wife. And when we first started dating, she told me that she had this secret thing that she wanted to start this t-shirt company. And because I had been doing all of the Facebook ads and social media ads for the TV station, we used them to launch TV shows and to launch news programs. And I was like, well, I'll do the ads.
Mm.
And Vickie knows this about me. I don't do anything just halfway. Like, if I'm going to
So
do
true.
something, I am going to be the best, or at least try to be the
Yes.
best at it. And so I saw one of these ads. And you guys know, like, whenever someone says there's a free 3-day event in your town coming, we all know now that that's just an event that's going to get us to buy something. I didn't know that at the time because, again, I wasn't in the online marketing space as the internet marketing gurus are, right? I just saw this ad for Damon John's, one of his workshops, and I told my wife, I said, we should go do that because we don't know
Yeah,
anything about running a business, right? And
that's right.
so
Yeah.
we registered, and of course we bought the freaking upsell. And so we got to spend a weekend with some of Damon's, marketing teams and stuff like that. And they were looking at our Facebook ads and the t-shirts that we were creating. And he was like, well, who's running your Facebook ads? He's like, whoever it is, like, knows what they're doing. I was like, oh, that's me. And he's like, why the heck are we talking about t-shirts? He's like, do you know how much money you could make if you started your own ad agency? And I'm like, what? Like think about this, because I had never wanted to be a business owner, entrepreneur, or anything. I was going to be, a television producer in, Los Angeles. And so I was like, well, that's kind of interesting. And I just kind of sat on it. And my wife worked for Delta Airlines at the time, HR. And so we were in Phoenix, Arizona, but as you know, Delta's in Atlanta. And she had to be sitting at her desk every day at 5 a.m. because 3-hour time difference, right?
Oh,
And so
yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go on Facebook Live and I'm just going to start teaching Facebook ads. Just kind of see what happened. And here we are about 4 years later. But it
Wow.
all started
That's
with just
incredible.
going on Facebook Live and teaching people what I knew.
This is the ultimate right now. This is the ultimate in accidental entrepreneur. This is a really great success thing. It's so interesting because, one of the big things about winning in business is having a relevant skill set. And by the way, I want to say hi to Robert Stern. He's another social media guy. He's on watching this. This is his favorite topic. He loves social media. But when you get to the point where you have relevant skill sets, You can, yes, I've seen Laurel's thing. Yes, I've seen Laura's thing. She is great. Yes, she is our ads consultant. This is the person that has trained me. Now, I want to let you know that this to me is one of the best investments I've ever made. And I always tell you guys, when we're on the Coffee Break Show, we're on our 5 seasons. It takes a whole bunch of people behind the scenes to make a show go 5 seasons and grow it and grow it and grow it and grow it over a period of time. And part of the things that you do is you have to have an ads consultant. You have to have somebody who's going to teach you the lay of the land when you start a show, because we're the first live show network. And now when we started with live shows, nobody did live shows, and now they're everywhere, and there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of how do I stand out? And so to get your message right, one of the things that I love about what you do, Laurel, I'm just going to start bragging about what I love. Okay, so you guys know that I have written books, and I'm up to 41. And I'm going to be releasing Cash Flow Mojo, which I asked Laurel, would you please? And I did this on purpose. She has no idea. I knew she was coming on the show. She has no idea I said this. And I handed her the book and I let her read it, and I let her read the unedited version, because when the edited version happens, you have to have all your endorsements in it. So she tells me later, this book was so brilliantly written. It was so smooth. It was so this, it was so that. Well, what I did that she doesn't know is I went in and I read and watched her videos, watched everything about her. And it's the first book I wrote using the technique she uses in ads. And so what happened is the book's percentage is completely different than any other book I've written. And inside those secrets, the reason it was such a compliment to me is because she said, I specialize in 2 things. What are those 2 things? Getting attention and keeping attention. So in the type of stuff that how do you get attention and how do you keep that attention? That skill set is what has made her Facebook classes, her marketing classes, her ad spend for people. That's why they work with her. She's a master at getting and keeping attention. So I want to ask you right now, Laurel, I mean, I kind of know this uh, from you, but I want to hear from you now. What are 3 tips anybody new right now who's starting on Facebook? Let's talk about getting attention, and then 3 tips on keeping attention.
Yep, absolutely. And I was actually, because when people work with me, and Vickie knows this, I watch their newsfeed. And as a matter of fact, like right before I got on this call, I was picking on one of my students because when she posted a video, she just said, I'm going live and, watch this video. There are 2 things we need to talk about. And I like screenshotted and I was like, why aren't you using the formula? And she was like, ah. And so that formula, very, very simple, right? Because you have to think about every single post that you're doing on social media as its own funnel. Okay. There's 3 parts, right? 1, we have to get people's attention. 2, keep people's attention, and then engage, because if people don't engage with our content, our reach is going to be limited. And
Yeah.
so I hear so many people posting on social media like, Facebook, engagement is gone, and Instagram engagement's gone. Like organic, you can't do organic. And
Mhm.
I always tell people that's not true. Like if Facebook is it they have a certain algorithm, right? When you post something, it shows it to 2% of your audience. Okay. Now, if those 2% of people don't engage with that content, then they're going to limit it. So we have to, with every single post that we do, have to be super intentional. It's not about how many posts a week you do. It's what is the strategy behind that intention of your post. And so I tell my students every single time they need to have a headline, promise of value, and some type of call to action. Okay. Now here's how that's working, right? Because think about this. Your headline is the top of the funnel. If we cannot get people to stop the scroll, they're never
Yes,
going to read the promise of value, then they're not going to know what's in the video. And
that's
so,
right.
headline, we have to grab it. Now, here's the thing, that headline has to be super attractive to only your ideal client. It needs to be polarizing to everyone who is not your ideal client, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, one of my agency clients, he runs an email program that helps 7-figure e-commerce stores get more money, like make an additional 6 figures a month. Now, his strategy will not work if those e-commerce store owners are not at 7 figures. And so he is very polarizing to when he is talking about 7-figure e-commerce store owners. He even says, if you're at 6 figures, don't watch this video because it is not going to be helpful. This strategy will not work. And so when we do that headline's one job is to identify, right? Who is this for and why are they here? Okay.
Yeah.
Only two things. And that has to be super polarizing, right? This person, as they're seeing this content, they need to say, this is me and I need to know more. That's the job. That's the only job of the first line. People try to make the job of the first line way too long. Its only job is to make people read line number 2. That's it. Once you get to line number 2, line number 2's job is to either get people to watch the video or to read the rest of the text. So many times people stack way too much text before a video. If you look at it as
Yes.
all I'm
Yes.
going to do is I need to get people to watch this video. When you put too much copy, you're deterring people from watching the video because you've
That's
given
true.
them too much information. Now, where did I learn how to do this? 11 o'clock news promos. How many times have you ever watched CSI or one of the, this was my job, guys. So in the middle of CSI, right? In the commercial break, it was my job to do two things. One, hold people through that commercial break and to get their attention to avoid them picking up that remote. Okay. So I was the person that right after the credits rolled after CSI, they were like, next at 11, CBS goes inside the governor's mansion. What we found in his refrigerator could kill you. Tune in next at 11. That was me. That's what I did. But the strategy that I'm showing you guys right now on social media is literally straight out of my book from working in television, getting people's attention, keeping their attention, and then letting the video have the magic. Because, guys, video marketing is the fastest way to build authority and to provide value to your audience. You know, it's one of those
Yeah.
things where people are like, you know, do I have to do video? I'm like, I'm
Mhm.
almost scared for people who have not created some type of video marketing strategy for their business. I'm going to be bold and say that. Like, if you have not, like, if you're not looking at the data, if you're not looking at the way that people are consuming content, you know, it's time to hop on the wagon. And it doesn't have to be something complicated, but there needs to be some type of video representation in your marketing.
God, this is so good, and I want to say it so works, you know, because the first person who talked to me about stopping the scroll was you. That's so. I like this. I agree, Robert. He's like, no video, no future. Now, I want to talk to those people. I want to separate this right now. I really enjoy the TikTok app for entertainment. I don't find value. I won't stop at ads. Very rarely do I stop at ads. When I get to Facebook, though, and I see a headline, that headline in that video, that can stop me in a second. I mean, I just bought a book like 10 minutes before this show got on, before we got on, because of I was scrolling and I was like, ooh, that's good. And I want to know the difference because to me, there is video that delivers value and video that is like micro learning. I want to just say something. I do not believe one damn bit that micro learning will get you to where you want to be. Like, micro learning isn't going to get you to 7 figures. It's not going to get you to 5 figures. Micro learning, if you get a tip here, a tip there, maybe that's a good tip for the day, but it is not going to change your world. You have to master something. You have to actually delve into it really deeply in order to learn it. This is why I chose Laurel, because Laurel, and I want to let you know, when you learn marketing, Laurel is so thorough. I mean, fine tooth comb, thorough about teaching you every single skill set you're going to need, not just for Facebook ads, not just for YouTube ads, not just for, you know, TikTok or whatever, not just that, but how you have to think about what you're creating, what your value is, what your offer is, what she calls power content is, all of those things. And it has literally changed how I think, change how I write, and it has also cha-chinged my bank account. And so what happens is my email list has grown, and my Showtime things have grown. The marketing that you see right now, all the marketing that we do for this channel has all been coached, created by, and really looked at by Laurel. I mean, she sit down and literally goes through line by line of my copy and goes, yeah, this could be I mean, you're up at the crack of dawn with her, but you will get this message right. And getting your message right empowers you as a business owner. And I want to talk to those people who are beginning. I want to talk to those people who think they can bypass and just throw anything up on Facebook or throw it out there. It's not going to work for you. You actually have to use marketing is a division of your company. It is a division of your business. And there's nobody better at all than Laurel to help you grow that division. Now, if you're growing a division of your company, you need to know what exactly are you doing? So when she just got done with the headlines, we looked at all our headlines and had to change them. We looked at all our copy. We had to change it. You got to get crystal clear about what your message is. So Laurel, let me ask you something. I know this from my point of view, but now I want that overall general thing. What is it? How is it that people can get enough clarity, because you just talked about this, enough clarity about who their person is? Because what you said was, you gave this example about this guy who has an e-commerce thing. And it's like, if you're over $1 million, this is going to work. If you're under, don't even look at this video. How do you get the crystal clear? Because so many people, that's the issue in their marketing. They're not crystal clear.
Yep, absolutely. And so I just, right before jumping on here, Vickie was like, "Hey, your audio is a little echoey," and I was like, "Well, let me pull my mic." And the reason being is because right here, y'all can't see it, but I have a 10-foot basketball goal. I love playing basketball. There's a foul shot line right here, and so I always like to talk about basketball analogies. Okay, and I actually just did this training with my Lean on Laurel students, and I call it hoop perspective, right? And it's essentially the levels of awareness, right? And so there are people who are going to be like your slam dunk audience, right? Who rarely misses a slam dunk, right? It's like the easiest shot in basketball to make if you can jump, right? Then you've got your layup, right? It's close to the goal, but still every once in a while it's not going to be accurate. Like a lot of people miss layups, right? And then you have your free throw, right? Got a free throw line right there. You guys can't see it, but it's a little bit harder. And then you've got your 3-pointer, right? And so think about those as your level of awareness. And actually, I just went through this. Oh, look. Okay, there you go. See,
there's a free throw line. There's a free throw line.
Yeah, there you go. And I just went through this with one of my students, and I'll use his as an example because Vickie, you actually helped me talk this out with Scott. So Scott is a guy who helps people who've had an amazing career or had an amazing business, and they want to do something else. And Vickie actually told us about this term, encorepreneurs, right? Mm-hmm. And so as we were going through this exact same exercise with Scott, because Scott was a little, he didn't know exactly who he wanted to reach, and his offer was a little vague. And so I sat down and we went through this through my hoop perspective. And so I said, Scott, there are 4 levels of awareness that your audience is in. The one that's going to be a slam dunk is going to be the easiest to go after. The slam dunk for his case, right, would be the people who are at the retirement age and they know that they want to start a digital business. That's what he does. He helps people who want to be encorepreneurs, but a specific digital business. Okay. So that's the slam dunk. If he can write copy that is going to specifically call out people who are retired and they want to start a digital business, slam dunk, right? But if he goes back a little bit and wants to go a little bit more broad with his audience, there's the layup audience, right? These are the people who are retired and they know they want to start a business, but they're not sure what type of business they want to start, right? Then we go a little bit further back to the people at the free throw line. These are people who are retired and they know they want to do something with their retirement. They're not sure what. right? And then, of course, the people way back at the 3-point line, they're retired and they're just kind of there. They don't have any level of awareness whatsoever. And so, as you are trying to define the messaging and getting clear on what you're going to offer these people, you have to first figure out like where on those goals, right? Whether you want to do a slam dunk, layup, free throw, 3-pointer, you have to decide like what level of awareness is my audience? Do they know that they have a problem? Do they know that there's a solution? Do I only have to convince people of me? Like the people that I go after are people with the slam dunk. Like they already are trying to book more discovery calls with their ads, but they're just not getting results, right? If I go back a little bit further, I could go with people who are already running ads, but they're not getting results and they don't know why, right? And then I could go further back and say, okay, these are people who are running ads. And then of course I've got the people way in the back, the 3-point line, people who don't even know if they should be running ads. And so as you are thinking about like your messaging and your entire marketing strategy, you have to think, who am I trying to reach? Now the slam dunk people, they're going to be that low-hanging fruit. That's where you're going to make that most money up front. But again, as you're putting together that marketing strategy, you can't talk to everybody. Like if you
Right.
try to create messaging that's going to attract all 4 of those people, you might as well just not even put out any content, honestly.
Hmm.
Hmm.
This is so important right here, what you just said. And he just said this in a way, it's like, there are 2,000 to 4,000 ads per day thrown at people. What makes you stand out? And, I think the biggest part is who you're talking to is the first way you're going to stand out. And I love the basketball analogy because I too love basketball. And when you get to the point where you're looking at building your audience, you want to know and be super clear about what their level of understanding about what you're doing is so that you can speak directly to them. And I think that's the point of connection there, Laurel, that I really like. I really like the idea that you have. Now, I want to talk to the
Hmm.
beginner that is intimidated. And I know this place, okay? I know that for me as a business owner, and I CEO 4 companies. I don't CEO 1, I CEO 4. So I look at it and I think to myself, okay, where do I want to spend the greatest amount of time? The greatest amount of time. And I want to tell you a mistake that I have been doing for years that Laurel has really transformed for me. And that is, if you're leading a company, if you're starting a business, you don't have to do it alone. And you want to get really clear about who you are, who you serve, what your message is. And you can't really outsource some of that. You have to know who you are. And I was outsourcing it all the time, not getting the results I actually wanted to get because I kept outsourcing it to other people. When I insourced it, I realized that I had to spend some time learning this, not just knowing that it needs to be done, but learning it so I could evaluate our messaging. And what I found I want to talk about Lean on Laurel after this for a bit, but what I found was I took her program, Lean on Laurel, because in our industry, she's very popular. And there's, she's been with Dan Henry and a bunch of other people, etc. So she was kind of the go-to person. And we went right to the go-to person. And as I started learning from here, what I found was it was easy to learn, that she walked me step by step. Now, I know you get on that Facebook thing and you look at Facebook ads and you're like, it's scary and intimidating. And if you don't do it correctly, you could bleed money. I know this because I have bled money. But when you get it down right to its right way, then suddenly that bleeding money stops. And then you start getting ROI on money, which is a return, and you get your LTV goes up and your ROAS goes up and all those terms that everybody that says. So what I liked about Laurel was, if you're starting out, you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to pay somebody gajillions and gajillions of dollars, $50,000 to manage your account. And I get hit every day by one agency who is trying to take me and say, no, we'll do your ads, we'll do your ads, we'll do your ads. My ads are just fine right now. And what I want you to know is that Laurel has programs for beginners to advanced. And you, by the time you're done being a beginner and going to the advanced area, you will be so happy that you made this investment, because if you want to succeed long term, this is the skill set you absolutely have to confront. You have to confront yourself on this. Not have, you have to confront your fear of it. So I want to talk about the Lean on Laurel program. It's something that I do. I'm a part of. I absolutely love it. I love the things that I've learned, etc. But I want to talk about your vision for your students coming in, for businesses coming in. She says students, but all she has is business owners. She doesn't have anything else but agency or business owners that are learning from her. And so what I want to talk about is why you built this and what can they expect as they're going into this program, and why you've developed it the way you did.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm an agency owner. Now, one of the things that I found, especially like when my clients were coming in, is that a lot of business owners have this misconception that I should outsource my lead generation and I'm going to rely on this agency to bring me leads and bring me customers. And I see this a lot. Now, there are some really good agencies. I have, partnered with a lot of great agencies, but I will say this, the ratio from bad agency to good agency is not in your favor at all. And one of the things that I've learned is that so many business owners are being told to let the agency take control of their marketing. And you, as a business owner, need to take control of your marketing.
Yep.
And the reason that I started Lean on Laurel was because I saw that a lot of business owners were in between, where they had left it up to an agency to do their ads, or they were thinking about it. And so I created Lean on Laurel as sort of an incubator, because a lot of the main problems when people are going to agencies and giving them the lead generation is they're not giving the agency the right information that agency actually needs to make ads work. Okay. And I was seeing that there was a need to educate people at a massive level on how to create content, so that if they did want to delegate it to an agency, and that word is super important, delegate, not give an agency control over their marketing. Every single person here that has a business needs to take control of their marketing, needs to be 100% dead on with their message, dead on with their content. Because if you're giving an agency mediocre content, it's not going to work. And that's not the agency's fault. But here's the thing, a good agency will educate. Like, my agency clients are required to go through my training that's how I got the Lean on Laurel program, because I actually put my agency clients through the video training so that they understand the type of content that I need from them. But more importantly, I educate them on the strategy. Why do I do that? Well, it causes less customer support headaches on my end, because if I ask them to do something, they have an understanding of why they need to do it. But I'm teaching them how to take control of their marketing, and and training them on how I need them to do content. And so literally, whenever I started Lean on Laurel, which has gone through a couple of, transformations, as most programs do, it's literally just me talking through me setting up my agency clients' ads. I didn't, it's good leverage. True. And so I knew that there was some business owners that weren't ready to hand their stuff over to an agency. but they don't need to hand their stuff over to an agency. Honestly, most of my students in my Lean on Laurel program, once they find the strategy and they understand the type of content, they're hiring $8 an hour VAs to do the technical setup, because if you're a busy business owner, you don't need to be doing the technical setups, but you could actually bring the media buying in-house once you understand the strategy and the content. Then you're just checking in with
Mhm.
your media buyer once or twice a week, and they become part of your team. So you are paying someone who has 24/7 eyes on your business and your business only, versus an agency who has their attention on, 10 different clients. And so that's why I felt that it was really important for me to have this incubator type program. And total transparency, I love my incubator program so much that I stopped taking agency clients like 2.5 years ago, because my agency clients didn't leave. They enjoyed working with me, and they understood the educational part of it. And then from Lean on Laurel, we went to a $7 a month program, which, by the way, total transparency, there is no content difference between Lean on Laurel and the $7 program. Higher ticketed program and a low ticket, same content, level of access to me is the only difference.
Yeah, and the level of access is really good because I can run any piece of content by you. I I I I have the opportunity. This is what I also really like about it. When you're in this kind of thing where you're actually honing your skills in that marketing genre. When Laurel does, she does, uh, God, I don't know, maybe 14 to 20 uh, every week. There is a time where you can access, all of us jump on a Zoom, and you can put your content in front of her. And the thing is, you get to hear how other people are thinking. You get to help other people out. You get to, here's this is the word, and you get great ideas, and you make really cool friends that way. There is a point where I want to talk to you about the video piece of it, because
Mm.
I know that I have been a professional speaker for like decades. I have been on five. This is my fifth season of the Coffee Break Show. I am not afraid of the audience. I love interaction with the audience. When I get to the point where there's power content and here's my message, and there's just me in the video, for some reason, even I freeze up, like, because you're just talking to this little box up there. And so when you're talking to that little box and you start to freeze up, I want to talk to somebody who is new, who is thinking about, how do I get my message out, who is intimidated by video, and they want to, what kind of tips can we give them to start? The first tip I can give you to start is go to laurelportie.com and hit the button that says, here, go access and get this. That's the first thing I'm going to tell you. And then the second thing is, I'm going to let her tell you some tips about if you're intimidated, if you're scared of.
Yep, absolutely. And there's been a change. Like, have you guys noticed that there are so many people now doing video, right? But there's an opportunity for those of you guys who are listening right now, because while there is a lot of people doing video and it could seem intimidating,
Mm-hmm.
more people are doing video wrong than they're doing it right. Now, I commend a lot of people who are going on live or whatever, but here's something that might ease some of the pain that you're fearing of going live, because the way that people are consuming information is completely different. Like 2 years ago, you could go live and do how to videos. Here's something that I've been doing that's a little bit different, and it's been helping my students who aren't that energetic in front of the camera. Like I worked behind the camera in television, so I'm pretty good at being on camera because I've been behind the camera so long. But there's a lot of my students who come in and they're like a little bit more timid. And so I tell them now is the best opportunity, because people are starting to see talking head regular videos, how to videos. They're starting to see them as white noise. Here's why: because so many people are copying other people's content. And
Yes.
so, what I'm going to challenge some of you guys to do And it's going to be a great way to start because you don't have to worry about making eye contact with the camera or anything like that. A lot of things that I've been doing, and Vickie might notice that this has kind of been my strategy for the last several months, is I just turn on Zoom,
Mhm.
turn on Zoom. I don't go live. I've got a tool very similar to what Vickie's using right now that does a look live. And I go on Zoom and I just talk people through me doing cool stuff for my clients. That's it. Like I'm like kind of just educating, right? And so I will go on and I'll do screen shares. I'll show real live examples. So it's not just me in front of the camera talking like this all the time. It's just like
True.
me doing showing people how to do cool stuff, letting them experience what it's like. Like a lot of times I'll just take a strategy document that I just created with one of my Lean on Laurel clients and I'll just press the Zoom button, the Zoom record button, and I'll just say, "Hey,
True.
do you have a challenge that's coming up? I'm going to walk you through this strategy document that I just did with one of my Lean on Laurel clients that allowed her to double last month's revenue. And these are the tweaks that we made." And I just walk them through. I'm not like all like, "Hey, look at the camera." And whenever I show my students that type of video to do, it's not only making kind of easing their fears a little bit about being this performer on camera, but it's also bringing them better quality clients because people aren't just watching this talking head bouncing up and down and being super energetic. Their audience is actually captivated by the experience that that person is giving them as they're walking them through this really awesome thing that they just did. They're not just telling them how to, they're letting them experience what they do versus telling them what they do. And I think that if anyone right now is sitting there watching this right now and is really scared about being that performer in front of the camera, you don't have to be a performer in front of the camera. Everyone that's sitting here watching this show right now has value to give your audience. Just click that little record button and just show them something cool. That's it. That's all you have to do.
And I love how simple you made it because in order to show them something cool, you have to kind of be in your zone of genius. You're excited to be in your zone of genius and you're chilling and you're just, and that literally is how she does everything. It's really cool. One of the things I love about what you do is the simplicity by which you do it. I mean, when you put up that camera, you're like, there's a whiteboard and a black pen, and here's the outline, here's the everything. Laurel tends to do everything in ecosystems. Like here it goes first, second, third, fourth, and she goes over it, just you and that. And it's so authentic, it's so real, and it's so easy to understand. That's so important for me because I know that some marketers make it so bloody complicated, unnecessarily complicated, though you spend that money. And I want to tell you something. I have been one of those people that were, from the outsource era. They're like, if you don't like it, outsource it.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, I don't like that, outsource it. I don't like that, outsource it. What you will bleed money, and I mean a lot of money, if you don't first know. So now if I outsource my message, if I outsource my ads or anything else, I at least know. And what I found out is I kind of like making the ads. I don't want to outsource it. And that's the thing that you find out. It's kind of like, the way Laurel teaches Facebook ads or marketing is like Canva. Canva goes and it's more of an artistic expression that gets narrowed down. And once you get the vibe of it, once you get your own message of it, pretty soon you're like, hey, I never needed to outsource this. Now, I will let you know that many agencies out there hope you never find out what Laurel is going to teach you or what she's going to do, because once you're empowered, you can never be taken advantage of again. You get to work with somebody who's actually wanting to work with you. Now, if you get to the point where you want an agency to go ahead and do your ads, at least you can oversee what's happening. And this is a big boon because I'm telling you, Laurel, if I looked at all the money I have bled over my career in letting somebody else run my marketing instead of me knowing what to do, because you're always at a disadvantage when you don't know what to do with this. You're always at a disadvantage. And everybody who's a slick pitch person can pitch and they can just hose you over. You'll pay what you need to pay because you're held prisoner by your ignorance. So this is the reason the Lean on Laurel program is there. And whether, I don't care what you're CEOing, I don't care if you're a 6-figure, 7-figure, 5-figure, 4-figure person, you want to get to the next level, you have to have next level skills. And the number one next level skill you have to have is marketing, and marketing that holds attention and keeps attention. Those are the key things that we need. So Lean on Laurel, great program, great for marketing people. Now, have I taken other marketing programs? Yes. Have they worked? No. And what I'm trying to get you to do is stop and make the investment in the right place. The investment has to be in yourself. It cannot be in another person, has to be in yourself. You need a coach and consultant in this area to get it right. And so if they're just, well, tell me what you are, tell me what you do, and let us do that. And let me put your name on my thing. And let me just in the back there, let me do, don't worry about it. Do your thing. I'll just do this for you. You are going to bleed money for the rest of your life. So the return on investment for Laurel has been fabulous for us. And we tell you, we only put in front of you the people that we actually use to grow our business. Now, with that, I want to go in and I want to take a look at, can we talk about a little bit about YouTube ads versus Facebook ads, and how you utilize both of them, as you know, and what do you think about now in YouTube? Is it still a good time to start a channel? Like if you don't have a channel, is it still a good time? And some tips about that as well.
Yep, absolutely. So let's kind of talk beginner, right? Because probably a lot of people right now that are watching this have probably never even placed an ad before, and they're like, okay, we're talking about Facebook ads, now we're talking about YouTube ads.
Yeah.
And so let me just say that if you have at least $5 a day to spend, you should be advertising your business. And as a matter of fact, the most profitable ads that I use in my own business, and I have now a 7-figure business, which is super exciting for me, and I built it using $2 and $5 ads. So if you think that you have to spend a fortune, and I recently did a live training, and you could find it on my YouTube channel, where I show my ads manager all the time. I am completely transparent.
That's true. That's
in
true.
order for me to get to 7 figures, Vickie, do you know how much I spent in ads to get to 7 figures? Because a lot of people are like, you have to spend, $100,000, $200,000,
Yeah.
right? I spent $37,000 over the last couple of years on ads to grow my business to 7 figures. So let's just get that out of the way, right? So if you're sitting here watching, I'm going to show you the easiest way to get started. Okay. I call it my $500 a month video funnel. Very simple ad strategy. You could run $5 a day on Facebook, and you could run it $5 a day on YouTube. Okay. I do something that, like Vickie was talking about, called power content. They're 3 to 5 minute videos.
And it really works. Really, really, really works.
3 to 5 minute videos. Again, you have your headline, promise of value, call to action, and then you just give people value. You go into the ads manager and you place it, and don't overcomplicate the marketing, okay? The targeting. People want to overcomplicate the targeting. I use such easy targeting. Like, I know Frank Kern has my audience. Guess what? I'm running videos to just Frank Kern. I know Amy Porterfield has my audience. I'm running just at, I'm not doing all these little like, I'm going to layer my lookalikes and all, like, literally, guys, people overcomplicate targeting way, way too much, okay? So what I'm going to do with Facebook is I'm going to target based on interest, okay? YouTube has a totally different superpower, okay? Because of Google, because YouTube ads are ran from the Google platform, it has magical powers that you can literally target people who are watching people's YouTube channels. You could target people who are watching certain videos on YouTube. You can target based on intent, because Google knows if people are, if you're a realtor, you should be using Google and YouTube ads, because they can target people who are looking for a new house. Okay.
Wow.
Lots of different capabilities on both platforms. That's why I like both, because it's going to reach a different type of person because they have different superpowers. So, for instance, I like getting clients who like to book calls, and using webinar funnels is one of the best way that you could book quality calls. And so I just go into the YouTube and I look up all the videos that people are teaching how to put together webinars. Wow, right? Like, and that's my targeting. I target, channels like Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels and Kartra. And because what are that funnel softwares, right? Teaching people how to put together webinar funnels. And so I use YouTube and Facebook. And I literally just create audiences. You could do it on Google and you could do it on Facebook. And by the way, this is all on my YouTube channel. I don't hold anything back. Like, just
That's
go
true.
and create an audience of people who are watching those videos. And then the next video you do, you just place an ad and send it to just those people. So literally, that's my $5 a month video funnel. You could do it on Facebook and YouTube. Literally $5 a day on both. Like, that's, less than $500 a month. That is the
So
very simple thing that everyone could be doing here.
I want to talk about this because I want to share and be transparent about my results on that. There's a couple of tips that I learned from Laurel about this. So we did that $5 ads a day. So in the first month that I did it, my Facebook fan page, or professional page, grew by 1,500 new people on it. The second month, I think we're almost about at 5,000 now, etc. And she does this thing that I really like. She's like, if you're not going to run ads, just drop it down to $1 and let it run by itself. And so I did that. I was like, oh, that's a great idea. And I let it run by itself. It's just running by itself. And in that running by itself, my engagement is up, like, I don't know, last time I looked, it was like 47% up. And so everything about the tip she's gotten is raised this up. Now, why am I interested? Why am I interested in this? Well, I've been doing Lean on Laurel for, gosh, it's been over a year, about over a year. And my audience size over that year has grown to, we're a little over about 25,000. And I'm just shy of being moved to Facebook Watch. Well, I didn't know that. Facebook had to tell me, but you're just shy of this goal. And I now have a new goal. How can I get to Facebook Watch with the Coffee Break Show? Well, when you're looking for people who are actually interested in your show, your audience, etc., it's like in the beginning, all I did was go live. I didn't know what I was doing. I was, had to grow and get smart at that. So to me, what's great about what she's teaching you is, for $5, $5 a day, you're growing your audience. You're growing your audience so that it goes there. So that big audience. Now, what I also liked about that is she's like, okay, where are you taking that audience once you grow it? Where did they go from here? Now they're your audience. They're here. What value are you giving them? Where are you taking them? What's your message to them? Why? Because there's two goals here, isn't there? There's to get the audience and then keep the audience. We have to make sure that we are getting those people involved. And I love that those tools are there. Now, for the people who are afraid of the iOS changes, let's just talk about the iOS changes, because I remember when it happened, I had the same feeling. I was like, Laurel, oh my God, this is it. What everything we've learned is down the drain. Everything is everything. But then I found out the secret from someone else, actually, that what Laurel's doing is the one and only thing that'll work. This is it. This is the one thing that'll work. And it'll work in spite of whatever the iOS changes are. And I've heard it from 3 other different marketers, but Laurel has been doing it consistently from the start. So that's why I was like, this is so important. Let's talk about that iOS change and the unnecessary fear around it.
Yep, absolutely. And, whenever I first started 4 years ago teaching this strategy, my power content strategy, I had a lot of people throwing rocks at me. Like so many people were, a lot of big
Yeah.
names were like saying that I was teaching people how to waste money on Facebook ads because I was teaching people video ads versus conversion ads. Because at the time, conversion ads were working really well because
They
there
were
wasn't a
all
lot of
the
people in the
rage.
space. There was no
Yeah.
iOS update. Well, I got to say this, and I'll brag about this because I will puff my chest out about this right now, is that my agency clients were sure as hell happy that I was doing my strategy, because when everyone else was freaking out because they've lost data and all of this stuff, why did my clients not lose any data at all? Video. Video ads are on platform actions that do not require pixel data.
That's right. That's right.
And video ads build your audience. They don't just sell things, they build an audience. And so there's two things, right, that my strategy does that a lot of other people weren't teaching at the time. Is, yes, mine is not the fast and sexy way of doing things, but is the slow and steady and will compound over time. If you
That's
spend
right.
time to build your audience and use videos, which are on platform actions, even going back to YouTube, you don't need Google site tag or site manager to actually like track people who are watching YouTube videos. It's an on platform action. So whenever we get people to watch videos on the platform, we could always use retargeting to retarget people. Like, just going back to that video strategy that I was just talking about, think about this. If everyone just goes and launches one video on YouTube and one video on Facebook, and it could be the same piece of power content. Vickie will tell you this. I do marketing the lazy but strategic way. I don't
That's
kill
right.
myself with marketing. Go and launch it on both platforms. Then anytime, because a lot of people are talking about, they're not getting engagement on their page. This is what I do. I take that audience who's watching this video and I just boost every piece of content that I put out on my business page. That is the proper way to use the boost button. A lot of people say, don't use the boost button. It's a waste of money. Boost button, my best friend, because I'm doing it strategically. I'm using it as a retargeting strategy. So I'm taking those video views and I'm just boosting it to people who I'm boosting my posts to the people who are watching my video. On YouTube, anytime I release a new video worthy of spending money on, I go and I just use that same audience of people who are watching these certain videos on YouTube, and I am just telling Google, show this new video to that audience. But it all goes back to, are you creating good content, right? Headline, promise of value, call to action. Every video that I do, I make sure that I am promoting the one thing that I want people to do. And people are like, well, Laurel, how are you getting sales? Doesn't matter what type of ad you put. Like, let me just say this. Like, if Vickie puts out a really good video ad with an irresistible offer, do you think it matters whether she's running a conversion ad or a video ad? Probably not. If it's a good offer and you're getting your content in front of the right people, people stress out about objectives, like ad objectives. It's like, just all we're doing is paying Facebook to put a piece of content in front of your ideal audience. Like, people are like, Facebook ads don't work. What doesn't work about it? That's like saying TV commercials don't work. Like, if Facebook ads or YouTube ads doesn't work, it has nothing to do with the platform. All we're doing is paying the platform to put more eyeballs on your content. Remember, paid ads are just organic content with money on it. That's it.
And that's the power of the video ad right now. Everybody thinks that video ads are always supposed to be on YouTube, but I can tell you they work really well. The video ad works really well on Facebook as well. And one of the things that you mentioned that I think is so important, video ads don't need pixel data. And that's, the thing about the iOS changes is that there's going to be more changes. If there's this change and it's already been accepted, the next wave of the change is going to happen. The thing about that isn't totally relying on conversion rates or pixel data. And it's relying on your message and your strategy, the strategy that she says. And I love this right now that you're saying this, because everybody wants to be successful in their business when they start. Every single person does. There's not a person that wants to fail. So what happens is the thing that has been stopping us 100% of the time will always be there if you don't actually learn it or push through it. Marketing has been so overblown, especially agency marketing. We're going to do this and we're going to do that and we're going to do the other. And I know this. Don't make the same mistake. This is like confronting the demon that's actually not a demon at all. It's actually quite fun. And what happens is whatever you're telling yourself about it isn't true. And when I got involved in learning this and saying, okay, F it, I got to learn this. And when I sat down to learn it, when I started understanding it, I was like empowered in a way that I hadn't been empowered before. And now when I think about anything I put out, any message, I always try to figure out how to put it in that script. And I want to tell you, if you want to succeed in business, you have to have relevant marketing skills. And if you want to learn relevant marketing skills, you have to learn long-term traction building relevant skills, not fast action, not fly by the seat of your pants, not overnight success, because that is too dependent on something. You have to have traction and actually build that piece. That's why I am so happy I met you, Laurel. You are honest to God, genuine person. As nice as she is now, she is with her clients. She bends over backwards for us and gives us her best 100% of the time. This is why she is our consultant, our person who does all that marketing and oversees what we do. She's done it for a year. In the first year that we did it, she helped us 6 figures just like that. I mean, it was so fast. It was unbelievable. And it continues to grow as well over time. And I think like when we first started, we made it jumped 6 figures in like 10 days.
Wow.
I mean, it was super fast, but we're clear on our message, etc. And so I want to thank Tracy Wilson because, I have this fabulous business partner. She's the one who introduced me to Laurel. And I remember coming and I said, I want to hire this agency. And she was like, no, we are going to work with Laurel. That's who we're going to work with. And she was like, that's it. And I'm so happy that she put her foot down and said, this is who I want to work with. This is who I want to be a part of. I want to thank you, Laurel, for being on the show today, but I want to thank you for being my friend and being somebody who is constantly in our corner, helping us develop as a business and as marketers as well. And if you could say one last thing, where can they get a hold of you? How can you lean on Laurel?
Yeah, absolutely. Like they can reach out. Like if they just go to laurelportier.com, they have the information for my $7 program. There's information for Lean on Laurel. But don't be shy. Come find me on Facebook, have a conversation with me. I'm always open in the DMs. Don't email me. I'm not an email person. But yeah, just reach out over the DM and any social platform will do.
Thank you. I want to say, listen, if you're driving right now and you're listening to the Coffee Break Show, relax. All the data for Laurel is going to be in the show notes. They're going to be down to the thread in the Facebook. They're going to be everywhere. You can see them. And if you're lost, Laurel, Laurel, Portier, Portie, and it's .com, laurelportier.com. You can go there, see all about her. And I would suggest anybody who is looking to be successful long-term, where you're going from short-term successes to long-term successes in marketing, definitely hook up with Laurel, and you'll see me there as well. And thank you for being with us today on the Coffee Break Show. I am so excited that you're going to be meeting her. Next week, we're going to have somebody really incredible, and we shall see you next week on the Coffee Break Show. Peace out. Mwah. Bye.